Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, a little louder, please.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome all of you to His Holiness Candramauli Swami daily class. Thank you very much for joining. My humble obeisances to you all. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, today's topic of the class, we are continuing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12. That's Birth of Emperor Parikshit. Verse for today is going to be verse 15.
Okay.
So I will share the screen, Maharaj.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, my obeisances to everyone.
Over to you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Amuchur Brahmanastusta Rajanam Prasayavanvitam Esa Yasmin Prajatanto Purunam Varsabha. Translation: the learned Brahmins were very satisfied with the charity of the king, addressed him as the chief among the Purus, and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. Next verse. Daivana pratigatenahan sukla samsta upeyusi Ratavo Nagrahartayam Vishnuna Prabha Vishnuna. The Brahmana said, this spotless sun has been restored by all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. Yes, he was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon. Purport. The child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu, Lord Krishna, for two reasons. The first reason is that the child in the womb of the mother was spotless due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Puru, the pious forefather of the virtuous king Yudhisthira. The Lord wanted to continue the line of pious kings to rule the earth as his representatives for the actual progress of peaceful and prosperous life. After the battle of Kurukshetra, even up to the next generation of Maharaj Yudhisthira was annihilated, and there was none who could generate another son in the great royal family. Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, was the only surviving heir apparently in the family. By the irresistible supernatural Brahmastra weapon of Asvatthama, he was forced to be annihilated. Lord Krishna is described herein as Vishnu, and this is also significant. Lord Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, does the work of protection and annihilation in his capacity of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. The all-pervasive activities of the Lord are executed by him in his Vishnu feature. Child Parikshit is described here as spotlessly white because he is an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Such an unalloyed devotee of the Lord appear on the earth just to execute the mission of the Lord. The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed to go back home, back to Godhead, and thus he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending missionaries of saints and sages, and by deputing his representative, the spiritual master. Such transcendental literatures, missionaries, saints and sages, missionaries and representatives of the Lord are spotlessly white because the contamination of material qualities cannot even touch them. They're always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. Such foolish threats are made by the gross materialists. The Brahmastra was thrown by Asvatthama at the child Parikshit was certainly supernaturally powerful, and nothing of the material world could resist its force of penetration. But the all-powerful Lord, who is present everywhere, within and without, could counteract it by his all-powerful potency just to save the bona fide servant of the Lord and descendant of another devotee, Maharaj Yudhisthira, who was always obliged by the Lord by his causeless mercy. Magyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swam Padantikam. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So we see how the Lord takes active part in giving protection to his pure devotees. Although, in fact, he gives protection to everyone, but he gives particular protection in a complete way to those who are his devotees. And when it's a pure devotee, the pure devotee doesn't even have to ask for protection. The Lord is there automatically by his love for his pure devotee. And so we hear how this child, he didn't ask for protection. His mother did, Uttara, when she was seeing that this fiery weapon was heading towards her embryo. She prayed to the Lord. And of course, the Lord was already aware of the situation. And he, as it says in the previous verses, he didn't have to appear from anywhere because the Lord is all pervading. He manifests himself in different aspects of himself in order to do different functions, both in the spiritual realm and in the material. And here we see how he manifests his Vishnu form. Why? Why does he have to manifest his Vishnu form? Why does he keep his Krishna form? Because Krishna doesn't really kill demons. The principle of Krishna is he's always enjoying with his devotees in the spiritual world. When he comes to the material world, he does the same thing in his Krishna form. But when there's a threat to his devotees, or someone tries to threaten his existence, he manifests himself in his expansion of Lord Vishnu. As it says that there are three aspects to maintain and develop the material world along with the structure. And that is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is the expansion of Krishna for creation. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna for maintenance. Shiva is the expansion of Krishna for destruction. Ultimately, it's Krishna doing everything through his various manifestations of his forms in order to show how he performs his activities accordingly. We can explain just like a big man, a person who is maybe ruling a country. He wants things done, and so he has his cabinet ministers, he has his assistants, he has his military, he has his personal servants. He doesn't do anything. He just commands and directs. He is the intelligent behind everything that is being done. But everyone else carries out his will. So in the same way, that is Krishna. Now, Krishna has innumerable manifestations of himself for different functions, both in the material and spiritual world. So he manifests himself as this Vishnu form. The child in the room actually saw, as we were hearing from previous verses, saw this personality and could not understand who he was at first. And therefore, when he was looking and seeing, the child was actually aware that someone had entered his womb and was actually protecting him from death. When one is a pure devotee, even at such a undeveloped age as being in the womb, one's consciousness is pure and one can perceive things. Even a baby in the womb that is not up to the standard of purity can perceive things in a more or less direct way, such as the feelings that they experience, the heat, the coldness, whatever comes by external stimuli, and they can experience. And they can also perceive to a small degree. But a pure devotee can perceive much greater, and actually completely. So this child, who is meant to be the next heir to the throne, and this is mentioned here how Krishna wanted the saintly rule to continue. But Krishna is active even today. We may not see him directly in his activity, but he works through his devotees. And sometimes he personally manifests his energies to take care of things on this level. When he wants something done, wants someone protected, he wants to inspire something to happen, Krishna is there. He's very much part of everything that exists. But when it comes to the spiritual aspect of the existence, he is personally present in his manifested form, directing everything. And according to our level of spiritual development, we can be aware of Krishna's presence in everything we do in our life. Sometimes we can't see that. We just think, well, it's material nature. It's working this way and it's working this way, or things happen and things don't happen. And we kind of conjecture and somewhat summarize that it's happening because of this and that. But behind the scenes, in every activity, in every aspect of existence, Krishna's there. A devotee who can see that way, then Krishna is never lost to that devotee. As Krishna says, one who sees me and everything in me, I am never lost, and he is never lost to me. So he is the remote cause of everything existing, both material and spiritual. And he manifests his energies in different ways. Parasya Shakti Vihaya Suyate Svabhaviki Jnanam Bala Kriya Cha. These energies are working perfectly according to his direction, and whatever he wants done happens because his will is never thwarted in any situation. Therefore, to become a devotee of the Lord is the greatest achievement one can attain, because you're protected by the Lord, you are directed by the Lord, and you're ultimately elevated by the Lord back to the spiritual world through his different energies that manifest in different ways. And that is the process of pure devotional service. So this verse is very important to understand how the Lord is there in the life of everyone at all times. And it's the protective element that is being emphasized. Sanatana Goswami explains that in the process of surrendering to the Lord, 6 elements are prominent in that mood of surrender. And 3 are done by the devotee, and 3 are a consciousness that the devotee develops, by which Krishna becomes an aware principle of these aspects. And what the devotee understands, Krishna is my only protector, Krishna is my only maintainer, Krishna is my only provider.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, sorry, looks like video and audio is frozen. Hare Krishna devotees, can you hear?
No, we can't. Maharaj will come back.
Yeah, we dropped for a second there. Now we're back.
Thanks, Maharaj.
Okay. And the other 3 aspects, did you hear those 3 that I mentioned?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. The other 3 is to accept everything that is favorable for the execution of devotional service, which are given by the spiritual master and by the Lord through the scriptures, to become aware of what impedes or what is contrary to our execution of devotional service, and carefully avoid those things. And the last thing the devotee does is humility, dainya. The word dainya is used to indicate humility. Humility is that the devotee depends on the Lord in every situation. That is real humility. So these 6 principles are mentioned by Sanatana Goswami, and they're explained in Hari Bhakti Vilas by the same Sanatana Goswami. So these are fundamental for our execution. So here we see how personal the Lord is with his devotee. The one who takes shelter of Krishna and makes Krishna the goal of everything they do in their life and the purpose of every activity we perform, lives with Krishna in this material world and ultimately can experience his personal presence through the activities of devotional service, which eventually elevate one to the process of qualifying oneself to go back home to the spiritual world. So to become a devotee of the Lord is the highest principle that one can achieve in this world. As is mentioned by Yamaraj, Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajans. Mahajan is one who knows the process of pure devotional service, is practicing that process, and can teach that process also. Mahajano yena katasa panta. Panta means path or marg, the way. And so these 12 devotees, or great souls, teach and give the process of pure devotional service. So one has to follow at least one of them, but all of them are qualified to give direction to the aspiring devotee. So, and Yamaraj explains to his servants, the Yamadutas, what is that? Etavam evaloke smin, pumsa Vedas Smrita Bhakti Yogo Bhagavati Tamnama Grahanaribi. That of all of the activities within human society, the highest and most beneficial is to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the essence of that practice of devotional service is to glorify the Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now, this is spoken by Yamaraj, who is a Mahajan, who knows the principles of religion. So to become a devotee of the Lord is not a small thing. And even to have the opportunity to become a devotee of the Lord is a good fortune in a person's life. Of course, Lord Chaitanya, who is Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Tristena Maha, he's very merciful. And he's making that process, which was really available in previous ages to everyone and anyone, through the mercy, through the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the essence of the spiritual practice. And therefore, many people have opportunities that they would never have had in previous ages to come to devotional service. This is Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous. He doesn't discriminate who is qualified and who is not. He offers it to everyone and anyone, and it is our good fortune if we could recognize it and take advantage of it. Some of us take advantage of it 10%, some of us take advantage of it 40%, some 70%, some are trying to give themselves 100%. But whatever percentage you are, you consider yourself fortunate because you can engage in devotional service. But of course, we want to come to the process of 100% because in 100%, you live with Krishna constantly. Krishna is always there in your life, and he becomes it's like, it's hard to explain in words, but everything happens for a devotee by the arrangement of Krishna. The devotee doesn't have to do anything, but simply connect with Krishna in devotional service. Krishna takes care of his devotees 150%. That's Krishna. He's very kind, very merciful, and his devotees, as he explains, he said, when Jai and Vijay were cursed by the four Kumaras to fall to the material world, because they had blocked the four Kumaras from entering into the final gate of Vaikuntha. There was some, some hostility between them. And the four Kumaras got angry, and they were powerful. And so they were about to curse. They actually did curse these two gatekeepers who were associates of the Lord in the Vaikuntha realm to fall to the material world. When Lord Vishnu realized something was happening, he didn't even ask for Garuda, which is his trusted carrier. He simply used his own energies and came immediately to the spot. And when he saw what was happening, he apologized to the four Kumaras that, my devotees are my life and soul, that even if they commit some offense, you should punish me because they are my devotees. He said, I will sacrifice everything for my devotees. And so this is, the Lord is revealing in his heart how dear his devotee is to him. So to become dear to the Lord, of course, everyone's dear to me. But how dear is that when one becomes, their whole life becomes Krishna, a devotional service. Then that is perfection, that is success, and that ultimately is the principle that will take one back to the spiritual world. Now this verse here is very instructive. Such a great personality appears in the womb of Uttara, the wife of Arjuna. No, actually, no. She was a daughter. I'm not sure. She was either the daughter of the wife of Arjuna. I think Maharaj Parikshit's grandfather was Arjuna. Yeah, his father was Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu was married to Uttara, and they had this son Parikshit. Abhimanyu's father was Arjuna. So Parikshit's grandfather was Arjuna, and his father Abhimanyu, who was killed at the age of 16. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, when he came, he was a posthumous child. He never met his father, nor his grandfather. And so, but because he came in that line, he was a pure devotee. And the Lord wanted to see religious principles continue because he had come to the world to establish it. After the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord established the Pandavas on the throne, headed by King Yudhisthira. And now King Yudhisthira is about to retire from that position. The next heir to the throne was the child of Uttara.
Sorry, Maharaj, seems we again lost you.
He came to, he threw this weapon, very powerful, pairs to nuke weapon, so powerful. The difference, these strong, I chanting and water, one can.
Sorry, Maharaj, your voice is breaking. Not sure whether it's at my end.
It's probably my end. I'm not sure. I've had troubles with this in the beginning before. All right, so that weapon could not be stopped by anybody. because when it's thrown, it's directed at a target. It's not like the nuclear weapons we have today. When it's thrown, it just kills everybody. These weapons were specifically aimed at a particular target. And although it was so powerful, it would go right to the target, guided by mantra. Asvatthama was a Brahmana. He was the son of a Brahmana. He lost his Brahminical status by committing offenses, by killing the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. Now he's trying to destroy the last heir to the Pandava dynasty. But Krishna is there to counteract the Brahmastra. And when that child in the womb saw, it's mentioned in the previous verses, I think in verse number 8 or 9 in the same chapter, he was thinking, who is that? And therefore, that's how he got his name. Parikshit means examiner. Throughout his life, he was trying to see that same person that he met within the womb. So he was looking, is this the person? Is this the person? Is this the person that I saw? And therefore he got the name Parikshit. And Parikshit means one who examines others to understand. So it's interesting how he was given that name. Okay, so we'll stop here and we'll open it up for discussion.
Thanks, Maharaj. Thank you very much for this wonderful wisdom. And also, I feel today is materially Father's Day across the globe, which is like really about the Krishna, who is our real father. So I just thought that, yes, we are describing the glories of Krishna, and that's really so sweet on this day. And I request devotees, please you switch on your videos if possible. This is a good opportunity to interact with Maharaj. And also, if you have any questions, comments, realization, this great opportunity to ask at this time. A good topic, good discussion. Sridevi Mataji, I see you have already raised the hand, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Vrindavan Das Prabhu. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept our most
Sorry, Mataji, looks like, I don't know whether it's at my end again. Can't hear you.
She seems like she's offline now.
Yeah, it looks like she's in dark. It looks like off. Sridevi Mataji, are you there? Maybe she, yeah.
Dropped off. See if there's any other questions available.
Yes, there is a question on the chat, Maharaj.
There's one from Rishabh Dev.
Yes, there are a few questions actually. One question from Janva Mataji also. That can woman body go back to Krishna in this life?
Say that again. What is the question?
Can woman body go back to Krishna in this life?
The soul is what goes back to Krishna, not the body. The soul is part and parcel with God. The soul is pure. And whether Lord Chaitanya even took 2 dogs back to Godhead, to speak of women. So anyone in a human form of life can go back to Godhead. Yeah, human form of life is simply meant for self-realization and ultimately perfection by returning to the spiritual realm. So it's not limited by a particular body. The body is simply external.
I hope, Jano Mataji, you are happy with this. Okay. While we wait response from Mataji, Rishabh Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I really like the sentence you were saying about giving ourselves 100%. But of course, physically giving ourselves is much easier than other levels of surrendering to Krishna. So can you maybe elaborate on it? Because, kind of trying to be 100% physically, it's not, doesn't feel like you are, on mental or words level. Can you maybe describe the surrender on all the levels?
On the first level is to stop the gross activities, which are impeding one in devotional service. Therefore, we follow the 4 regulative principles: no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meeting, no gambling. So that's on the gross level. Then we avoid the activities which are contrary to devotional service. But even though we're engaged in devotional service and free from the external activities based on the physical aspect, we still have desires in the mind, and still we may develop some pride, some attachment on subtle levels to name, fame, position, remunerations. So these are the more subtle aspects of our contamination. So both of these character levels need to be purified until the soul can be free from it. As long as the subtle body still inhabits or harbors some of the subtle aspects of existence, envy, envy, greed, the various anarthas that come up in a more subtle level. Still, the soul is still contaminated and has to continue to sojourn in the cycle of birth and death. So purification happens on 2 levels, the gross and the subtle level. Well, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we gradually stop all of our external activities. We continue to chant and purify and we associate and serve the devotees. It's practically impossible to get rid of the subtle contaminations unless we associate and serve devotees. And now those subtle things will stay, because in association of devotees, we have an opportunity to purify them by serving the devotees, by becoming inspired by the devotees, by worshiping the devotees. These are ways by which the subtle aspects of our contamination are gradually destroyed. Sarusanga, sarvasastri hoy, lavamatta sarusange, sarvasiddhi hoy.
Amazing, Maharaj. Thank you. I hope that just being fixed in this instruction, all the results will come as soon as possible. And there is one more thing about worshiping Krishna. The best way to worship Krishna, you said, it's by chanting the Maha Mantra. In the Gita, it is said that one who preaches this message worships me, is the most dearest to me. So is there a contradiction in these 2 things?
No. And to chant the holy names is to glorify the Supreme Lord. And to chant the holy names means to spread the glories of the Lord. It's an expression of that, of the process of chanting. But on a practical level, to take the activities of devotional service and give it to others is what preaching is about. So yeah, you're right. In fact, it mentions, there's a beautiful verse I want to bring this verse up because it's so nice. Vrindavanath, go to the 8th canto, 7th chapter. I think it's verse 42 in that section. Yes, and it actually illustrates what you're saying in a very powerful way. This verse is unbelievably powerful. It's spoken by Lord Shiva, I think. 8:742. Let me see. Try 44. Keep going down. It's connected to this same section. Try 44. I think it's 44. Yeah. Okay, here it is. Tapyatan lokatapena sarvam prayaso janaha paramaradhanam tadi purushasya kilatmaha. It is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. So there it is. Lord Shiva, in order to save the universe from being destroyed, he sacrificed and he drank that poison that came from the churning of the ocean, which was all pervading, was called hala hala, deadly poison. Therefore, Lord Shiva is called Nilakanta, or sometimes Kalakanta. On his neck, he has a mark where that poison stopped, and it caused a mark on his neck, and that mark is his emblem of compassion for the fallen souls of the world. So here it explains that great personalities always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. And as it says here, this is considered the highest method of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we get into, this illustrates your point. But those personalities who are great and who are doing that, they're constantly chanting the glories of the Lord. You can't separate those two things.
Thank you, Gurudev.
You can't preach the glories of the Lord unless you are actually glorifying the Lord also.
And empowered, I guess, as well.
Say again?
Yeah, you have to be empowered as well.
The empowerment is available. You just have to take it.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Yeah, Prabhupada said that. Someone asked, Prabhupada, give me your mercy. Prabhupada said, I'm giving everyone my mercy. Just take it. Question is, we don't want to take it, or we want to take a little bit of it. Take it. It's there, available.
Agree. It is depend on the faith, Maharaj.
Faith is the motivation for it. It's the intelligence that's going to bring you to that platform.
Rishabh Prabhu, you're on mute. Yeah, thanks, Rishabh Prabhu, for nice question. Actually, I just made the 3 points Maharaj mentioned. Maharaj, if it's okay, I just want to, because it's very, very important points which you highlighted. That first one is stop gross activities contrary to devotional service, including following 4 regulatory principles. Avoid anarthas and vices at subtle level, such as greed, anger, lust, etc. And the most important thing for us is focus on chanting Mahamantra and associating with devotees and serving devotees, which is really, really key.
To associate with devotees means to serve the devotees. And hearing from the devotees is another way to accept service and to give service, simply by hearing.
Yes, Maharaj.
It's one of the 9 processes of bhakti.
Thank you, Rishabh Prabhu, once again. Okay, Sridevi Mataji, you were having that question. We lost you in between. You want to continue, please? And
Yes,
then I have.
yes, please ask your question. Go right to the question.
Everything happens by mercy of Krishna. Devotee doesn't have to do anything. I'm a little puzzled by that, Maharaj, because we have to engage in so many different services in order to do something for Krishna. So how we are supposed to not do anything?
We desire. Desire is life. By your desire, you motivate either the spiritual energy or the material energy, simply by your desire. And then the mind and the senses automatically act because of desire. You can't stop desire. Desire is the nature of the living entity's existence. So everyone, no one can do nothing, not even for a second. There's no question of doing nothing. It's not possible. You can't do nothing. If you're thinking, you're doing something. If you're sleeping, you're still doing something because the mind is working on the subtle level. Desire is there all the time, pushing us in the direction of that desire. The idea is to desire Krishna, desire devotional service.
So that means our desire to serve Krishna then moves Krishna to empower us to do that service. So Krishna is the doer. Krishna is doing it through that devotee.
When you desire, you attract the material energy. If you desire materially, according to the level of desire within the 3 modes of material energy. You desire spiritually, you attract that energy, and you get the opportunity for devotional service.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
The soul is always active, cannot stop.
Okay. Scarlett Mataji, you asked one question. Sorry.
She's saying no.
Yes. She actually typed one question related to Parikshit Maharaj on the chat window. That's fine. Okay. Rishabh Prabhu, you have asked this question in the chat window. Maharaj, I hope I can read that to you. The question is, while contaminating the sense object, one develops attachment for them. So are material desires of the soul manifested before contemplation or after them?
Well, I missed a few words there.
So his question, a little technical actually, Maharaj. While contaminating the sense object, one develops attachment for them. So are material desires of the soul manifested before contemplation or after them? Mr. Prabhu, you want to clarify because question looks a bit tricky.
The desires become manifest as soon as you start thinking about them. Thinking is also activity on the subtle level. There's gross activity and subtle activity. Dayatam visayam pumsam tesu sangat sanjayate kama krodha vijayate Sort bhavati samoham shriti ri brahma shriti brahmsa buddhinasa panashyati. That's the verse he's referring to. It's in the Bhagavad Gita 262 and 263. By contemplating the objects of the senses, lust arises. From lust, anger. From anger, delusion. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. From memory's bewilderment, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls again into the material realm. When we do our desire materially, we activate our material intelligence and we lose our spiritual connection. And then we're acting fully on the material platform. Oh yeah, it can, as soon as you desire to put in motion these subtle aspects of the mind and the intelligence, and ultimately it manifests physical.
Hare Krishna. You hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
Prabhu.
I have like a little more battery, so my phone will die. But this is like referring to your Maharaj statement about having a material desires, the soul having material desires. Because I'm just thinking, are the senses indulging and trying to convince us for material desires? Because contemplating, then we get attachment, from attachment lust. So this attachment sounds like a desire manifesting in the soul, because the senses are like, you know, trying to convince us, enjoy this matter. Or is it that we actually have a material desires in us, and then, as you said, the mind and the senses are just manifesting the desire of the soul through contemplation and then attachment?
Yeah, well, there are two aspects of that. One is we do have these desires within us, and even if we don't, then Maya sometimes wants to test our Krishna consciousness by offering us opportunities to engage in material activities. So sometimes she uses her alluring energy. Or sometimes you see, just like we have the example of Subari Muni. Subari Muni was a great Muni, and he was meditating underwater. And he was fixed in his meditation. But he just happened to notice two fishes engaged in sexual activity in the water. His mind became attracted to that. And then gradually, he fell down from his meditation and left his whole process and sought out a wife. We have the example of a Jamil, when he was a young boy, you know, in the mode of goodness, walking along, sees a Sudrani and a low-class person embracing in public. His mind becomes attracted. But one who's fixed in devotional service, they may experience these elements coming to them in the form of the external environment, but they're not attracted. They're not attracted. They may look at it they will say, oh, this is just illusion. It's Maya. It's Maya, that's all it is. But that's a certain level of spiritual attainment, which one becomes fixed in one's devotional service. So you'll see in the process of bhakti, there's different stages. So when you get to the process, the fifth process, which is nishta, one is fixed in devotional service and generally doesn't fall down due to material desires or material allurements that come by way of the external energy. But they can fall down by committed offenses. And also those offenses are also a lack of understanding of how to execute the process of devotional service, or they may also be due to some subtle attachment that arises that comes by way of circumstance. So the process of purification continues until one gets to the level of prema. Only on the level of prema can one not fall down due to any allurements or offenses. A devotee should never be inattentive. Inattention causes one to slip in devotional service. It can happen to anyone. We have many examples of that. The Shastras show great souls who have fallen because of a little inattention in their execution of devotional service. So be careful. Careful means to remember Krishna. If you're remembering Krishna always, the tendency is you won't fall down. If you're not remembering Krishna, then you are in a situation where you can be victimized. The only way you cannot fall down is to always remember Krishna. Otherwise, the mind can take you at any time to any realm of existence. That's the nature of the restless and wandering mind.
Fascinating. Thank you very much, Gurudev.
Keep strong sadhana, and you're in a good position to control the mind as the day goes on. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, Maharaj, we are just dot on time today.
Yeah.
There are no questions, no hands raised. If with your permission, maybe we can close this call.
Yes, please. We have to move on to some other activities. But we should be here tomorrow also for same time, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock
Central time.
Standard Time, and 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and for the UK, that is
2 p.m.
1
For
o'clock.
India, 2 p.m. It's a 2 p.m. UK time and 6:30 India time.
Okay, yeah, everyone knows the timings. Important.
So Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Just a quick announcement, Maharaj, if with your permission, related to retreat, if may I.
Yeah.
So on behalf of His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj, we want to really invite you all to join this special retreat at Govardhan Eco Village from 29th November to 7th December. This is third in the year, third year which is happening in a row. And Maharaj will narrate Katha, taking us through Shri Krishna's pastimes in the Vrindavan forest. Unique opportunity to absorb yourself in the association of devotees in a beautiful serene village which has the mood of Shri Vrindavan Dham, and many places have been recreated here. Srimati Mataji has already sent email in conference with all the information. in terms of registration, whom to approach, what's the email ID. If you still have any questions, you can write that in relation to retreat for cmsgebretreat@gmail.com. So all this information is already with you. If any questions, you can reach out to either this email ID or you can reach out to Srimati Mataji. Feedback from devotee, as Maharaj mentioned few days back, absolutely very, very positive, who joined in last few years, and very encouraging. So really request and encourage everyone to join this. Hare Krishna.
Uh,